Today we're working in the exponent chapter and we're on the third set of notes, which is solving exponential equations. So we're going to start with some real basic ones and then we'll work our difficulty level up. So notice the first one, I have the same base of 3, and once I have the same base, I would just set my exponents equal. So there for the first one, the x equals 4. Not much work is required. So I would like you to actually, I'll do letter C, and then I want you to go back and try B and D. So for letter C, notice again I have the same base, so now I set my exponents equal. So I would say 2x equals x plus 5. And to solve for x, I get all my x's on one side. So I'll get that x equals 5. And again, for all of these, you can check to know that you're right. So if I did a quick check, this would be 4 raised to the 2 times 5. And then over here, I would get 4 to the 5 plus 5. And notice on both sides, I get 4 to the 10th power. And I don't even need to do 4 to the 10th power because I know I got the same thing on both sides. So I would like you to pause the video and try B and D. And in a moment, a pop-up is going to come up and ask you what answers you got. So for letter E, notice I have to do a little bit of work here. I have 2 bases that are being multiplied together. So when I have that, I add my exponents. So I'm going to say x plus 3x has to be equal to 3. And this is going back to our rules of exponents. When I have the same base, I add my exponents. So I get 4x equals 3. Divide both sides by 4. So x equals 3/4. So that's how we would do it with multiplying. Now we're going to do it with division. So again, from the last chapter, we talked about if I'm dividing with the same base, I subtract my exponents. So I would say that 2x minus 3 has to equal 5. And it might be a little bit more clear if I write it like this. So I would subtract my exponents, and now at this point I have the same base, so I set my exponents equal. So that's where it's coming from. So I'll add that 3 over. 2x equals 8. Divide both sides by 2. And x equals 4. And again, this is intended to be relatively easy, so I don't foresee too many issues here. It will get a little bit more difficult, but not yet. So the next skill we need to practice is called changing of our base, and we're going to really need this skill on the back page. That's why we're going to practice it. So the goal is always to write whatever value you see with the smallest base possible. So for example, I can change 4 to become 2 squared. So I'm going to put parentheses here. I'm changing that 4 to be 2 squared, but remember the squared is still on the outside. And now when I have a power to a power, I multiply my exponents, so this will become 2 to the 4th power. So you have successfully rewritten this with a different base and changed the exponent accordingly. So letter C, I'm going to start by saying 4 is the same thing as saying 2 squared. And I know if I want to bring this up, I would make it negative. So this is the same thing as saying 2 to the negative 2nd power raised to the 2x. And when I have a power to a power, I multiply my exponents. So this is 2 to the negative 4x. So again, this is the same thing as the original problem. We're just rewriting it in a different form. And letter F, again, I'm changing 8 to be 2 cubed raised to the 2x power. So I multiply my exponents, and this will be 2 to the 6x power. So again, I would like you to pause the video. You are going to try B, D, and E. And in a moment, when you hit resume, there a pop-up box will come up and allow you to select your answers for those. So the last thing that we're going to do is on the back page, so flip your notes over. And now we're going to get into the problems where I would say these are a little bit more difficult because I don't have the same base. So we're going to kind of take those 2 skills that we just practiced on the front page and put them together. So I need to rewrite one of these sides so that the base is the same. So my base is 3, So I'm going to get rid of that 27 and say, well, 27 is the same thing as saying 3 cubed. And you might want to just like write down a quick list of all your perfect squares and perfect cubes. So remember, your squares are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, and so on. Your perfect cubes are 1, 8, 27, 64, 125. So you can always make that list by doing 2 squared, 3 squared, and cubed, and so on. So now that I changed my base, I have the same base, so I know x equals 3. So that was a basic one. Now let's get into a little bit more difficult. So I would change this 49 to be 1 over 7 squared. I know I need to bring it up to the top, so I'm going to say that this is the same thing as saying 7 to the negative second power. And now at this point, my exponents are can be set equal because the bases are the same. And when I divide both sides by 2, I get x equals negative 1. Okay, moving on to the next set. So C is unique in the fact that I definitely don't have the same base, and we talked about this the other day, that one of those rules is that saying 2 to the 0 power, or anything to the 0 power for that matter, is equal to 1. So I'm going to change that 1 to be 2 to the 0. If you typed in your calculator right now 2 to the 0 power, you would get 1. So now I'm going to set these equal to 3x equals 0, divide by 3, and we get that x equals 0. So letter D is going to be an example of a problem where I have to change both sides. So I have to work with both sides to make the bases smaller. So I'm going to say 25 is 5 squared raised to the 2x. And I know 125 is 5 cubed. And again, as you start to get the hang of this and pick up on your shortcuts of your rules, you can start skipping steps if you can kind of figure out what it's going to be in your head. So I need to move that 5 to the second power to the top of the fraction. So this is going to become 5 to the negative second power raised to the 2x equals 5 cubed. And I know a power to a power I multiply. So this is 5 to the negative 4x equals 5 to the third. And now I set my exponents equal. So negative 4x has to equal 3. Divide both sides by negative 4. So x has to equal negative 3/4. So we have 2 more, and then I'm going to let you try that, or have you try that whole practice section at the bottom of the page. So for letter E, we have basically a coefficient. We talked about this in graphing, that 2 would be considered our coefficient, so we want to get rid of that. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So now I'm at 4 to the x power equals 8. And again, I have to rewrite both sides. I can never rewrite 8 with a base of 4, so they both have to be simplified down to a base of 2. So I'll have 2 to the 2x equals 2 to the third power. And then I say 2x equals 3, divide by 2. So x has to equal 3/2. And again, for our last one, you have to rewrite these. So in the numerator, I'll change that 25 to say 5 squared raised to the 3x. I'll change 125 to be 5 cubed to the x. And this is equal to 5 to the first power. So in the top, I'll have 5 to the 6x over 5 to the 3x. And if I condense this, I would say this is 5 to the 6x minus 3x. And at this point, now that I have the same base, I can set my exponents equal And I know that 6x minus 3x would be a 3x. And we'll divide both sides by 3. So x equals 1/3. So again, for tomorrow, or for the completion of your notes, I would like you to finish that whole practice section at the bottom of your page.